Patricia Macbride is a lawyer, political commentator and columnist for the Irish News, and she joins me now live from Dublin. Thanks so much for taking the time to speak to us, Patricia.
Good to talk to you.
Biden has already visited as vice president in 2016 with his family. Tell us a bit more about his personal attachment to Ireland.
Well, Joe Biden is one of 30 million Americans who claim an Irish heritage, and he is very attached to that heritage. He has family on the east coast of Ireland in County Louth, which is kind of halfway between Belfast and Dublin. And he also has family in the west of Ireland in Ballina in County Mayo, which is an area that suffered a great deal during the Gorta Mór, the Great Hunger, the Irish famine of the 1840s and 50s. And it was at that time that Biden's ancestors left Ireland and travelled to the United States, eventually settling in Pennsylvania, in Scranton, Pennsylvania. So he has always maintained a close connection to his Irish heritage. He's grown up in that Irish Catholic tradition, and it's something that has come through in his presidency. Although he's a Democrat, he's one of the more conservative wing of the Democratic Party, and that's partly to do with his sort of Irish Catholic heritage. And we'll see this trip that he's brought his sister and his son with him. So they will be meeting with relatives and extended family on the visits to those two parts of Ireland, on the east coast and on the west coast, where his ancestors emigrated from all those years ago.
The trip, of course, starting in Northern Ireland. Tell us a bit more about the importance of the American role in establishing the Anglo-Irish peace deal that's celebrating its 25th anniversary now.
Well, there was a huge American influence in brokering and getting the Good Friday Agreement over the line at the time that it happened in 1998. At that time, Bill Clinton was president of the United States. And we know from what he has said in the past and what others who were central to the negotiations, the former Taoiseach Bertie Ahern and the British Prime Minister Tony Blair, that it was Clinton's imprimatur that got the deal over the line. And he was making phone calls during the night to the leaders of the political parties, encouraging them to sign up to this deal. And it should be remembered that at that time, Joe Biden was a senior figure in the Clinton administration, and he was also using his influence in Irish America to facilitate that peace process. That was through things like granting the visa to Gerry Adams, who was then leader of Sinn Féin, to go and brief Irish America to say, this is what we're doing, this is how we're going to take forward these talks, this negotiation process, and to get that buy-in from the Irish diaspora in the United States at that time. So America's role in the peace process in the North cannot be understated. So it's probably with somewhat of a heavy heart that Biden is coming here today when the Northern Ireland Assembly is not sitting. I think ideally he would like to have been addressing that sitting of the Assembly, but because of one party, the Democratic Unionist Party, have boycotted those institutions because of their objections to the Brexit deal known as the Windsor Framework. There is no sitting assembly, though Biden has just arrived, I see from the wires. Biden has just arrived at the University of Ulster in Belfast, where he's expected to have private one-to-one meetings, very brief meetings with the leaders of the political parties. So let's see what comes out of that in terms of trying to encourage that party, the DUP, is currently staying out of the institutions, to go back in.
Patricia, just very briefly before we go, tell us about the importance of this visit domestically in the U.S. Biden, of course, just the second Catholic Democratic U.S. president after Kennedy with Irish roots, the second Catholic, at a time where Americans with Irish roots are shifting toward conservatism.
Well, I think it's very, very important. As I said before, there is a huge Irish diaspora in the United States, and Biden will be looking to capitalise on that on his own behalf, assuming that he gets the nomination for 2024 on behalf of the Democratic Party. But as I said before, we have to remember that Joe Biden is a conservative Democrat. He is not a liberal Democrat by any stretch. In fact, Kamala Harris was brought onto the ticket in order to be seen to balance out Joe Biden's more conservative tendencies. So he in his own right is not that conservative a candidate. And I think that we have seen over the last year and a half, that liberal wing of the Democratic Party has not been in the ascendancy. The Democratic Party is trying to go back to appeal to its traditional to its traditional electorate, which was immigrant communities in the Italian community and in the Irish American community. So it's looking to appeal to those, as well as appealing to the newer communities in the United States, in the Latino community and its core base in the Black community. So it has a very, very difficult job, and Biden will be leveraging everything that he can in order to try and ensure that the Democratic Party's fortunes are improved in the next round of elections.
Patricia, thank you so much for that. Patricia Macbride speaking to me live from Dublin.
Good.